One of the films I was looking forward to most this year was called Saltburn. The film stars Barry Keoghan and Jacob Elordi, and it promised to be all kinds of sick and twisted. The film was written and directed by Emerald Fennell, real name, who also wrote and directed the 2020 film Promising Young Woman, an unconventional revenge story that tells us there are no nice guys. But what can we make of Saltburn, the second film in this promising young director's body of work? What actually is the point of Saltburn? Is it a homoerotic fever dream in the vein of The Talented Mr. Ripley or Brideshead Revisited? Is it a social commentary about classism? Is this what it looks like to eat the rich? Or is it merely a portrait of a psychopath? I theorize that the point of Saltburn is none of those things. By my estimation, the entire point of the 2-hour, 7-minute film is Barry Keoghan's butt. Now hear me out, I know you want Saltburn to be about something serious. It's getting Oscar buzz and it's won awards and they're writing about it everywhere. But I really do believe the film is nothing more than a vehicle for beautiful shots of Barry Keoghan's butt. Allow me to explain. I shall put this point in the context of the plot, compare it with Promising Young Woman, and see where we're at with male nudity in 2023. First, let's get to the plot of Saltburn. In Act 1, we meet Ollie, played by Barry Keoghan, an awkward scholarship student at Oxford whom nobody likes. Felix, played by Jacob Elordi, is a rich, graceful, beautiful golden boy whom everyone adores. The two begin an unlikely friendship, and it seems like this might be a call-me-by-your-name type situation. Felix shows Ollie several acts of kindness. Ollie tells Felix that his father has died of alcohol poisoning, and as a consolation, Felix invites Ollie to summer at his family's estate, Saltburn. It is also in Act 1 that we get the detail that the film is set in 2006, the heyday of a website called Tumblr. More on that later. The detail isn't really important except that it informs the soundtrack and explains why everyone is constantly reading Harry Potter. The film started losing me almost immediately. In Act 1, it is established that Ollie, played by Barry Keoghan, is ugly and unlikable. Yes, Barry Keoghan is a good actor and he acts awkward very well, but he is by no means an ugly boy. As the film continues and we see more and more of Barry Keoghan's butt, it becomes less and less plausible that this character is a risless uggo. However, everyone insists on reacting as if he is a short turd, which is also not fair, and it's perfectly fine to be a short boy, my goodness. Besides, Barry Keoghan is 5'8" and everyone looks like a shrimp next to Jacob Elordi, who is 6'5". The way the film is shot fluctuates the heights of these boys dramatically, with some shots putting them eye to eye and some shots making it look as if Jacob Elordi could sit on Barry Keoghan. Act 1 concludes with the assumption that Ollie's butt is just as dreadful as every other bit of him, and Ollie goes off to spend the summer with Felix at Saltburn. Act 2 is a summer of fun at Saltburn Estate. The royal family at Saltburn find Ollie peevish and slovenly, but then a turning point occurs when Ollie shows his butt. The other young adults insist that Ollie remove his swim trunks before he joins them for sunbathing in a field. Here we get the very first shot of Barry Keoghan's butt. It's also implied that Ollie has a massive Johnson, and this earns him a lovely montage where he gets to party with the other rich kids as if he's on the set of a Grimes video. This window to the good graces of Saltburn's elite comes only after Barry Keoghan shows his butt. The nudity is a major turning point in Ollie's time at Saltburn. The Saltburn family, I forget their real names, is obsessed with beautiful things, and to make this point, Saltburn is filled with beautiful shots. Act 2 has the most beautiful shots, although none are more beautiful than the shots where dramatic natural light befalls the crests and valleys of Barry Keoghan's hindquarters. But not even a dramatic derriere can save Ollie from the fact that he is a bold-faced liar. Ollie begins seducing Felix's sister and his cousin. He uses flattery, blackmail, and email to cause rifts in the group dynamic. On Ollie's birthday, good boy Felix deigns to drive Ollie to meet his birth parents after intercepting a phone call from them. There, Felix learns that Ollie's family is perfectly nice and not alcoholics, and they go on vacation to Mykonos every year. Ollie's father is not even dead. In fact, they've baked Ollie a wonderful birthday cake. But Felix now knows the truth. Ollie is a liar, and if he's lied about his family, what else has he lied about? Well, everything. At the end of Act 2, Felix dies. At the beginning of Act 3, something happens which I cannot discuss on YouTube, but rest assured the butt is appearing with increasing regularity. Everything is awful in Act 3. Felix's death plunges the Saltburns into horrible grief, and Ollie is just lingering around like a shredded racehorse in pants. We get the big twist that yes, indeed, Ollie lied about everything, coerced several Saltburns to suicide, and murdered Felix and Felix's mother. Also, he can dance in the Saltburn home, but naked. And that is what the film is really about. Shaking your butt in a fancy house. This was always the goal. This is the point of the movie. Did I actually like Saltburn? Well, I did like seeing Jacob Elordi play a nice boy, as I've only ever seen him as horrible Nate in Euphoria, and Elvis wasn't a huge step up from the abusive Nate archetype. I enjoyed Saltburn's lip service to the dark academia aesthetic, its similarities with genre classics like The Secret History and The Talented Mr. Ripley, and of course I just adored the 4:3 aspect ratio and the black letter titles. But did I enjoy the actual essence of the film, the message, the theme, the tone? Well, no, not particularly. As I reached the end of the film, I kept thinking to myself, well, that's a stupid movie. And part of my high expectations had to do with Emerald Fennell's first film, Promising Young Woman. Promising Young Woman's screenplay earned an Oscar, a Critics' Choice Award, an Independent Spirit Award, and a Writers Guild of America Award, among others. It was a highly lauded film. At the time, I felt it was sort of the Me Too movie we needed. In Promising Young Woman, Carey Mulligan plays a sulking vigilante who basically seduces would-be sex offenders to teach them a lesson about taking advantage of women. She's on an Arya Stark-like quest to punish the tallywhacker who sexually assaulted her best friend, causing the friend to drop out of college and commit suicide. I liked the movie because unlike other films of that era, like the Jennifer Lopez stripper movie, Promising Young Woman, it didn't drag women down to make them seem equal to men. Rather, it showed how taking advantage of anyone is wrong, no matter who starts it. It does also present the thesis that all men are guilty of violating women in some way, because society is set up to objectify women, even promising young ones. Based on the cultural relevance of Promising Young Woman, I expected more out of Saltburn, but it is just kind of a movie about beautiful people doing beautiful things. I heard Claire Parker give a review that I think really hit the nail on the head. She says, "It reminded me of that book, My Year of Rest and Relaxation. It seems like everyone is obsessed with beauty, thinness, and wealth. But if you consider yourself a cultured, educated person, you can't be. You can't come out and say, what I want to watch is Rosamund Pike being gorgeous dressed to the nines in a castle. So they pretend there's this deeper meaning. With My Year of Rest and Relaxation, there's this idea that it's a parody. But it's not a parody. It's a 9/11 book that's actually just a Tumblr post. There's all these books that pretend to be deep, but that just appeal to our basest Tumblrist self, which is that I want to watch an anorexic blonde Sienna Miller smoke a cigarette in Versace. And that's all any of us really want to do. But you're not allowed to anymore. So instead, we're watching Saltburn and pretending it's art." And I do think Saltburn is just an extended Tumblr gif of Barry Keoghan's butt. Many critics are coming at Saltburn as a class satire, something like 2023's answer to The Menu or Triangle of Sadness. To me, the film doesn't quite work as a class satire. Sure, the rich people are dumb and oblivious to anything outside their beautiful bubble, but they're also quite relatable. Felix is too nice. Additionally, Rosamund Pike is such an incredible actress that even though on paper her character is a vapid airhead, her performance has so much depth and compassion that you actually feel sorry for her and want to protect her. The women in the family are addled by mental illnesses such as depression and bulimia, making them sympathetic victims. Additionally, despite the grandiosity of Barry Keoghan's butt, Ollie is a little shit. The film manipulates not only the rich family, but also the audience into believing Ollie's sob story, leaving us feeling betrayed when we learn he has murdered and manipulated the other characters. Ollie's only redemption comes from his butt, so I can't believe Saltburn stuck the landing as a social satire. I actually do think one of the movie's obvious goals was to objectify men. There are many hot women in the film, but little to no female nudity. Rosamund Pike is tremendously classy in her Valentino gowns, and the Sienna Miller lookalike Alison Oliver is exactly a manic pixie dream in her agent provocateur ripped from the Tumblr feed outfits. But the film is full of long, lusty shots of Barry Keoghan and Jacob Elordi with their pores wide open, open. The cinematography exposes men. I don't want to call it female gazy, but one might call it that. At this point in history, women's naked bodies have had cumulative years of screen time in major motion pictures. Meanwhile, whenever a man shows his butt on camera, it makes national news. Based on the premise of Promising Young Woman, I have to believe that Emerald Fennell wants to neutralize sexism in the wider context. Perhaps her way of doing this is by showing us Barry Keoghan's butt, a normal male butt working to close the gender gap in on-screen nudity. But of course, you can't just say a movie is about a butt in Harper's Bazaar. But you can in Entertainment Weekly. In an Entertainment Weekly article, Fennell says the film ended at first with a clothed walk through the estate, but a walkthrough didn't have that post-coital triumph. If we all did our job correctly, you are on Oliver's side. You don't care what he does, you want him to do it. You are both completely repulsed and sort of on his side. It's that kind of dance with the devil. When the movie ends, you're not on his side until you see him shaking his butt, and then you realize, yes, you too would murder a perfectly clueless, innocent family just to shake your ass in front of a Renaissance painting of Richard III. This is kind of a movie where you could watch the last scene, have a perfectly good time, and understand what all the fuss is about. I'm not even sure Ms. Fennell knows this movie is about Barry Keoghan's butt, but truly, I feel the legacy of Saltburn shall be its final triumphant scenes. And those scenes are of Barry Keoghan's butt. Thank you for watching my quaint little opinion essay. If you enjoyed any part of this video, please like, subscribe, and share to support the channel. Cheerio, and take care.